But from here, we cross over, and it's all about the National Science and Math Quiz. Manuel Karanting is on the beat. He's in the Upper East region, Bolgatanga to be specific. Manuel, so what is the latest in terms of the National Science and Math Quiz competition up north?
Also, Ben, good morning to you and good morning to our viewers also. It's intriguing, really a great morning here in the Upper East region. Well, the past couple of days we've been, lodging in the Upper West region, specifically in Wa, trying to, as it were, sample and sieve the boys from the men in terms of the schools that are going to represent the region in the National Science and Maths Quiz. Of course, the national tournament slated for later in October this year. Well, that is done. We've moved from the Upper West region and we are currently in the Upper East region. What we're going to do this morning is to just give you, a sneak peek into what exactly happened in the Upper West region and a bit of, some projections into the Upper East Regional Tournament also. And Mr. Stephen Yankee is a program coordinator with the with Primetime, of course, organizers of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Grateful that you could join us this morning. How does it feel? I mean, we've been traveling from Accra all the way up north. It's been stressful, right?
Well, it has been, but it's also been fulfilling as we fulfill our mandate of promoting science and math education in the senior high school. So we feel that we are achieving our objectives, and so far we are happy with the turnout that we've seen with regards to the senior high schools and also the performances that they displayed in the Upper West region. I think judging by that, it just goes to show that we are in for very exciting contests across the country, especially in this northern zone.
We want to cut to the chase and then talk about the specifics. Well, there were just 5 slots for the region. Is it the same for all the regions, 5 slots for all the regions?
No, the Upper West region has the least number of senior high schools nationwide. And when we started this format of the National Science and Maths Quiz sponsored by the GES came up with some quota system so that based on the number of senior high schools in each region, we select a certain number to make up the 135 schools at the national level. So because Upper West has the least number, they have 5 senior high schools, they contribute to the national quota. And you have a region like Ashanti, which has the highest number of senior high schools, contributing 26 schools. So it is based on the number of senior high schools. That is where this ratio works out.
But even with the 5 slots, it was really competitive. Talk to me about the stages that we went through to get to these 5 schools, and which schools exactly are these?
So, in the Upper West and Upper East regions, what we try to do is to do a 2-stage qualification process, because this would ensure that the best of the best will get to represent these 2 regions. So what we did in Upper West for the first time this year was that instead of just organizing 5 straight contests where the winners will qualify for the national championship, we started with 7 contests. So those 7 winners then progressed to a second stage, where out of the 7, 3 of the schools were in 1 contest and then 4 in another contest. The winners of those 2 contests qualified, and then we ranked the scores of the 5 schools that lost those 2 contests, and the top 3 made it out of that to also qualify to represent the Upper West region. And we saw some very, very exciting performances. I can mention the St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary. Judging from what we saw this year, you could see that this team is being prepared for exploit at the national championship. The team hasn't been so good at the national championship since 2014 when they were at the final where they lost to Infansipim School. And looking at what we've seen this time, even at the first stage and at the second stage, they were consistent in their performance. I was only disappointed a little bit in St. Francis of Assisi.
The girls' school, which actually was the talk of the day in the first day, right?
Yes, and you remember in our conversation I mentioned that usually what we see is that at the first stage of qualification, some schools do very well, but in the second leg, at the second level, that is where sometimes they drop some points, and that is what we saw with St. Francis girls. I was expecting that they would still maintain their 50s, but unfortunately they struggled to even make something within the 20s. But I think they have time between now and October to put their acts together. It's a very solid team. I'm sure they can do something in Accra.
So in all from the Upper West region, we had what? St. Francis Xavier, St. Francis of Assisi Girls' School, and then which other schools?
And we have Canton Senior High, we have Wa Senior High School, who really jubilated when they qualified. So St. Francis Xavier, St. Francis of Assisi, Canton Senior High, we have Wa Senior High School, and then we have Jirapa Senior High School.
So these 5 schools are going to represent the region in the national tournament. We'll talk about Bolga very shortly, for the Upper East region. But I'm learning of another zonal tournaments that you're organizing. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, so last year we got some support from Absa Bank. So Absa Bank is sponsoring the regional and zonal championships across the country this time. Yesterday, the Greater Accra Regional Championship started, also sponsored by Absa Bank. The final is this morning. And for the first time, we are organizing a similar championship for the schools within the Northern Zone. You know, as I mentioned earlier, Upper West only has 5 schools. So if you should organize a championship for those schools in Upper West, it would just be a contest, and that wouldn't be as competitive. So what we are doing is that we are going to bring together 20 schools, and these 20 schools are made up of the 5 schools qualifying from Upper West, 6 coming from Upper East, 6 from Northern, 1 from Savannah, 1 from the Northeast region, and then the seeded school from the Northern region, that is Northern School of Business, making a total of 20 schools that will be competing in the Northern Zonal Championship starting on the 12th of May next week. We are having that championship in Tamale.
There's a whole lot up for grabs, but even with the regional championship, what we give people 1,000, 5,000 cities?
Yes, so with the regional qualifiers, just for qualifying as a qualification bonus, you know, even our footballers get a winning
appearance fee.
Exactly. So just for winning, if you win with scores that are higher than 40, we offer the team 1,500 cities. That's just a token. You know, the grand prize are in Accra. We want them to aim high. But just for qualifying with 40 points or more, we offer them 1,500 cities as a team. If your scores are less than 40, then we offer you 1,000 Ghana cities. But for the Absa Bank Zonal Championship in the Northern Zone, the winning prize is 4,000 Ghana cities to the team, 3,000 to the second place team, 2,000 to the third place team, and 1,000 cities to the fourth place team.
See, I only wish that I was a competitor in there, so as contestants in there to get some of these 1,005. But let's talk about the Upper East region. Upper East region now, which schools should we be looking out for? I mean, what are the contests anyways?
Well, so for the first time in about 4 years, the Upper East region has a seeded school, that's Navrongo Senior High School. Last year, they were on top form. They made it to the quarterfinal stage, so they skipped the regional qualifiers. But when we start tomorrow morning, the first contest features Sandema Senior High Technical School. I'm sure people remember Sandema from when they also got to the quarterfinals a couple of years ago. They haven't made it back there in a long while, and they are hoping that this year could be a different story for them. Sandema Senior High Technical School will be up against Zoko Senior High School, Fumbisi Senior High School, and Boku Senior High School. In our second contest, we'll have Notre Dame Senior High School, Our Lady of Lourdes Girls Senior High School, and Sandema SHS. In our third contest, we have Gori SHTS, Timpani SHS, Chana SHS, and Zebila Senior High Technical School. And the last for the day will feature Zamse Senior High Technical School, Nabango SHTS, Bion SHTS, and Bolgatanga Technical Institute.
I see. And that's for tomorrow, the first day. There's another set of contests on Saturday. That's the second day. But I mean, with these schools, there are a lot to look out for because, for instance, in Wa, the Wa Senior High School, we're learning that it has not been to the tournament, a national tournament, in 20 years. It was a whole jamboree on campus. You know, after they won. They won with 17 points.
Yes. I mean, so that goes to show how important the National Science and Math Quiz is to these schools. It's a big achievement to qualify. You know, we have about 480 schools competing this year for 108 slots. So to be part of that little group, that's a feat that they need to celebrate. I felt that celebrating a win with 17 points is a little too much, but maybe they can put their teams together and we can see how they will present maybe a formidable side sometime in October during the national championship.
Do you have any tips? You know, do you have any schools that you are tipping from the Upper East region?
From the Upper East region, well, there are schools that always qualify year in, year out. Sandema Senior High Technical School, they qualify every year. Bolgatanga Senior High School, they qualify every year. Notre Dame hasn't been too strong in the last couple of years. Zamse was there last year. and a host of others. Bolgatanga Girls also, very good girls school over here in the Upper East region. I think that they can all do their best. But I mean, if you look at the National Science and Maths Quiz, every year has its own dynamics. It's not just the name of the school. If it took just the name, Infantsmen wouldn't be at the regionals.
Akraka would have been, Akraka would have been like defending.
Akraka, your school?
A very good morning to all will be out there.
So, some of these schools that perhaps may not be well known could also have put a lot into their preparation, and this could be the year that they would also break out and launch, put their school's name out there as a force to reckon with when it comes to the quiz.
Grateful. That's Stephen Yankee. He's a program coordinator with Primetime, organizers of the National Science and Maths Quiz, just talking to me about the past couple of days, regional championship organized in the Upper West region, and the one that's just about to go down in the Upper East region. Really, all the prospects and what you're to be expecting. We'll be here live on the Joy News channel with all the updates. Well, I learned, quite unfortunately, that Accra Academy suffered a defeat at the hands of Chemu SHS yesterday. But of course, what does a man gain by winning the regional championship and get slain at the national tournament by Accra Academy? We're looking forward to that. But Ben, if you can hear me from here in the Upper East region, Bolga specifically, handing over back to you in the studio.
Well, Manuel Karanting there. Manuel, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on the latest, and we look forward to much more from your end. When you come back, we'll talk schools. Accra, I saw my kakra, but how we could do them.